Here we go. From around the world comes the M&P Aftershow with ESO and Chris Lee. Unfortunately, Chris can't be here today. We're still having some logistical issues getting everything from Australia to here without delays and making sure the streaming service is right and going well. But we'll be getting up and going within the next couple of weeks, and we'll be going on right after the Monty and the Pharaoh show. Which comes up to the first thing I have to do, which is give a shout out to Mike, Monty, and Jimmy Pharaoh and thank them for this opportunity to host a show on their dynamic network. And especially for letting us follow them. That's going to be awesome. We're going to bring in some of the people from the chat and some of the discussion from those days. That's why we're going to do it live right after Monty and the Pharaoh. And, well, while we're on the subject, let's talk about that. Monty and the Pharaoh can be seen live every Thursday at 9 p.m. on YouTube channel, Facebook, and Twitch. They're also on all those streaming services, iHeartNation, Spotify, Reverb Nation, iTunes, Apple Music, and more. So, first thing I have to do is say it's sad to see one of the legends pass away this week. Leaping Lanny Poffo passed away at the age of 68. As a kid, I always wanted to catch one of his frisbees and that he threw out to the crowd after he did his poem after his introduction. So, in tribute to him, what I did was I went on the... let's switch over to... So, what I did in honor of Lanny Poffo is I went on to ChatGPT. If you don't know what ChatGPT is, we'll get into that a little bit more later. And what I had it do was I had it create a poem in the form of Lanny Poffo and describe his legendary career and ask him to say a rest in peace at the end. So this is what it came up with. It was actually pretty good. Leaping Lanny was a man so true, a wrestler born with nothing to prove. He made his mark with grace and style. His frisbee throw brought fans to a smile. The genius, as he was known as well, with words so smart, he used them to sell. Although in the ring, he'd usually fail, his words on the mic, no one could jail. His father, Angelo Poffo, a wrestler too. And his brother was Randy Savage. Oh yeah, it's true. He followed in their footsteps with pride, wrestling with grace, he never did hide. Leaping Lanny, we think is a champion. Main evented, but world titles never did happen. And though he's gone, his memory lives on. His spirit soars. It will never be gone. Rest in peace, genius Lanny Poffo. Your legacy will grow. You left a mark on this wrestling world. Your spirit strong, forever unfurled. Isn't that crazy? That was created by AI. I did tweak it a little bit to bring in some other stuff, but overall, that's absolutely insane that artificial intelligence created that. And in his honor, I do have to throw out the frisbee. So, on that note, we were supposed to do that a minute ago. Oh, well, there was a picture of Monty and the Pharaoh that was supposed to come on when I was talking about them, but somehow I forgot to hit that button. But I'm not going to forget to hit this button. So it's never easy to transfer from something like that to something a little less serious. But I think Lanny Poffo would love this sponsor. And who is this sponsor? It's Manscaped. So, if you're looking for top quality grooming products for men, check out manscaped.com. Use code MANDP for a 20% discount on your purchase. Keep yourself looking sharp and well groomed with Manscaped. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little promo there. But I'm proud they came on board with Monty and the Pharaoh. I've been using Manscaped for quite a few years, and I support their products. So first thing I got to talk about is the this so-called Royal Rumble from this past weekend. It was, what can I say? It wasn't bad, but the word I would put is predictable. I don't think there was a match on there that I couldn't have predicted was going what the winner was going to be. Let's talk about them. I don't want to get into each one and review each one. I just want to touch on some points of each. So, men's royal match. Gunther will be a world champion sooner than later. The dude is awesome. He proved it in that. You know, he looks the part. He looks that part. Evil world champion, and he deserves to be that champion. And I can't wait to see that Cody Rhodes and Gunther feud coming up real soon. Logan Paul, that dude is talented, and that spot with Ricochet was pretty damn cool. I've never seen it before, and wow. Logan Paul is definitely showing he belongs in the World Wrestling in World Wrestling Entertainment. So, the right person won the Royal Rumble. Yeah, Cody, we needed Cody to win. He needs to headline with Roman Reigns. That's going to be awesome at WrestleMania. It's going to be one of the biggest matches ever. WrestleMania is going to break all gates ever. It's going to be the highest grossing pay-per-view, period. Probably just day 2 is going to be the highest grossing day ever. So, Booker T did not belong in that Royal Rumble. Sorry, Booker, I love you. You are freaking amazing, but you did not belong in the Royal Rumble. Your time is over. I would have rather a real surprise, somebody who is a little bit further disassociated from the WWE. But hey, you know, they tried. I'll give them credit. But otherwise, overall, the Rumble was okay. Wasn't bad. Wasn't great. It was okay. So, on to the next thing. That Mountain Dew, what do they call it? Mountain Dew dark match? Whatever it was. It was just stupid. Just like the entire angle, it was stupid. I don't know which was worse, the pink confetti that was flying everywhere, or the botched camera angle when Howdy jumped off the platform up there and missed LA Knight by what, 4 feet? So, I'm starting to think maybe McMahon was right getting rid. If this is what Wyatt wanted to do a few years ago, yeah, maybe McMahon was right getting rid of him, because this stuff does not belong on a wrestling show. This belongs on a Cartoon Network or Sci-Fi. Does not belong in WWE. So, why? And you just buried a great talent in LA Knight. What's he going to do now? Is he going to come back as one of the Wyatt Six under your trance? I really, really hope not. Please end this before it goes any farther. I'm getting really, really tired of it. And, on to the next part. Please stop ruining Alexa. So, yeah, well, let's get on to that. The Alexa Bianca match. That was horrible. I'll just leave it at that. You have 2 of the most talented women wrestlers out there today, and they put on one of the worst women's matches I've seen in years. I'm sorry, gals, you didn't bring it this time. I love you both, but that was not even worth talking about. So we're going to just go on to the Women's Rumble. The Women's Rumble. The right person won. Rhea won. She was awesome. Liv was dynamic. She, that little girl, young woman, put in such a wow. That was dynamic. Just in general, I think the Women's Rumble was well done. It was one of the best Women's Rumbles I've seen. I enjoyed it better than the men's, but the thing is, the surprises didn't make me pop. I did not pop for Nia Jax coming out. Last year, Mickie James, her coming out, oh my gosh, that was a crazy big surprise. Nia, nah. Girls from Next, nah. The girl who trains with Booker T, nah. But overall, good match. Well done. Congratulations, Rhea. Can't wait to see what you and Charlotte do at WrestleMania. The Reign Owens match. Well, I have to say it was overall a great match, but we already knew who was going to win, and we knew what the outcome was. It was just to push storylines along. Sammy hitting the Reigns at the end with the chair. Yeah, well, I could have predicted that was going to happen, and it deserved to happen. They needed to get this storyline moving somewhere. what's going to happen with this tag team? What's going to happen with tag team defense? What's going to happen with WrestleMania? Wow, are Owens and Sammy now going to be friends? Is Owens going to forgive Sammy? Well, we'll find all this out, and we didn't really learn much this week on Raw and SmackDown, but hey, it'll play out. We'll see what happens at the Elimination Chamber. So, overall, I would have given the show about a 6 out of a 10. It pushed storylines along. It brought some wrestlers back, but it wasn't that spectacular. As you probably noticed, I didn't mention Edge and Beth on purpose. I don't care that they're back. They're going to disappear in a few more weeks and then come back again in a few more weeks. And then disappear and then come back again. And we know Edge is retiring at the end of the year, so I don't care. I don't see what him in any angle is going to bring at this point. If you really want to see how I feel about Edge, watch the last video I did, and you'll get an idea. Edge has never done it for me, and he never will. So, earlier, as you know, I did a ChatGPT for a poem for Lanny Poffo, and it came out pretty damn good. I was really, really surprised. But ChatGPT can do so many things. It's an artificial intelligence that can generate computer code. It can write articles. It can answer questions. It can generate a poem. What I did earlier was I literally typed into the system, make a poem, act as Lanny Poffo, and make a poem celebrating the wrestling career of Lanny Poffo, and mention his family, and also finish it up with a rest in peace. You can see what it generated. It was damn good. Well, one of the big things out there that we see is Mount Rushmores of wrestling. So what I decided to do was I decided to ask ChatGPT, the AI that scours the internet to create these thoughts through a neural network, and see what it thought, and then argue with it a little bit. And because that's one of the cool things is if it comes up with a response, you can say, well, I disagree. And it'll either further explain why its response is what it is, or it might even change its response, as you'll see in this. So check this out. So what I typed into ChatGPT was, what is your Mount Rushmore of wrestling and why? And now here's its response. Here's my take on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. Number 1, Hulk Hogan. Hogan was the face of the 1980s wrestling boom and considered by many to be the biggest star in the history of professional wrestling. He transcended the industry and became a pop culture icon. Number 2, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin was the figurehead of the Attitude Era, a period of tremendous growth and popularity for the WWE. He embodied the anti-hero character that captivated audience and helped bring the WWE to new heights. The Rock. The Rock is widely regarded as one of the greatest talkers and characters in wrestling history. He became a major Hollywood star, but his impact on the wrestling industry cannot be overstated. John Cena. John Cena is one of the most successful and popular wrestlers of all time. He has transcended the industry and has become an ambassador for the WWE, appearing in films, TV shows, and on the speaking circuit. These 4 wrestlers are considered to be the biggest stars in history and have had a profound impact on the sport and its culture. So I had to push its buttons a little bit, and I said, well, why not Ric Flair or Bruno Sammartino? It responds, Ric Flair and Bruno Sammartino are both legends in the world of professional wrestling, and I have had a significant impact on the industry. However, my Mount Rushmore is based on the wrestlers who not only have had a great in-ring careers, but also have lasting impact on the popular culture and help bring the sport to new heights. While Flair and Sammartino certainly belong in the conversation as all-time greats, the 4 wrestlers I mentioned are widely considered to be the biggest stars in the history of the industry and have had a profound effect on the sport and its culture. Their legacies and contributions to wrestling cannot be overstated, and they will always be remembered as some of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. So, of course, I had to counter back again. What about back in the early 20th century? What about those wrestlers like Andre the Giant? Wrestlers from the 20th century, before the advent of TV, certainly had a big impact worldwide, and they lay the foundation for the sport of wrestling today. They popularized professional wrestling and established it as a legitimate form of entertainment. Andre the Giant is a great example of a wrestler from this era who had a huge impact on the sport overall, and he was an international star who was beloved by the fans all over the world for his larger-than-life personality and incredible in-ring ability. However, my Mount Rushmore of wrestling is based on wrestlers who not only had great in-ring careers, but also lasted blah, 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 blah. So now I'm arguing for Andre the Giant. I said, in the 70s, Andre the Giant crossed over all genres and even fought Muhammad Ali at Shea Stadium. In what would be considered today a predecessor to the pay-per-views, those old closed circuit things, it was broadcast across the country. So he had a way bigger impact on popular society for a longer period than John Cena or Steve Austin or even The Rock. He would definitely be more recognized by a wider generation of people. His impact way overshadows Cena's, The Rock, or Austin. The wrestling careers of both The Rock and Austin were very short, and Cena has had the longevity and long range he could be on the Mount Rushmore, but Andre's impact before him was definitely bigger, and he deserves to be on Mount Rushmore. You're also not mentioning wrestlers like Lou Thesz, George Hackenschmidt, Gorgeous George, Vern Gagne, and many others. All of them have to be considered for the Mount Rushmore for their long range of impact. Some of these guys have had an impact for almost 100 years. So now it comes back to me. I completely agree. Andre was a larger-than-life figure who had a huge impact on popular culture and the wrestling industry. His impact on wrestling was immense, and his legacy continues to this day. He was truly one of a kind and a pioneer of the sport. In regards to other wrestlers you mentioned, Lou Thesz, George Hackenschmidt, Gorgeous George, and Vern Gagne were all tremendous talents who made significant contributions and should definitely be considered for the Mount Rushmore. The longevity and impact of their careers cannot be overstated, and they are all true legends. In my conclusion, while my original Mount Rushmore of wrestling was based on wrestlers who had a biggest impact on popular culture and brought the sport to new heights, there are many other legendary wrestlers who deserve recognition for their contributions to the industry. The wrestling world is rich with talent and history, and the impact of these great performers will be felt for generations to come. Wow, this is artificial intelligence generating this crap. So I said my final question to it was, after this conversation, would you change your Mount Rushmore of wrestling? Based on this conversation, I would definitely revise my Mount Rushmore of wrestling. I would add Andre the Giant to the list, as he was a larger-than-life figure who had a huge impact on popular culture and the wrestling industry. His impact continues to this day. He was truly one of a kind and a pioneer of the sport. I would also consider adding the other legendary wrestlers such as Lou Thesz, George Hackenschmidt, Gorgeous George, Vern Gagne, who also made significant contributions to the industry and should be definitely recognized for their impacts. So, in conclusion, my revised Mount Rushmore of wrestling would look like this: Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, and The Rock. This revised list recognizes the contributions of wrestlers who had a huge impact on the industry and popular culture, and also acknowledges the legendary performers who helped lay the foundation for the sport as we know it today. Wow. That was crazy. It was like having a conversation with a real person. It changed its mind. I still would... I don't necessarily fully agree with it, but you know what? It's not a bad Mount Rushmore. So, isn't it crazy how this computer program can interact with you? It's absolutely insane. How about its ability to learn and change? It's scary, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's free to check out. It's you can find it at openai.com. It's open source. It's free to use, and it's actually a lot of fun. You guys should definitely check it out. So let's see. Well, it's about that time. I'm gonna get going, and I gotta first of all give a shout out to my co-host Chris Lee. Can't wait to work with you, my friend. We're gonna crush this. We have Mike Monty's going to come on in a few weeks with an interview, and I am not letting him take over the show. I've watched people try to interview him. Every time he gets in an interview situation, he takes it over and ends up interviewing the host. I don't need to be interviewed. This is going to be my show and Chris's show. Mike, if you want to interview us, we'll come on your show to get interviewed. But no, you're not running us over on our show. And I can't wait to talk to you. I've got some great questions for you, my friend. So in the words of my friend Jimmy Farrow, later.